This is going to be about beliefs, but we're going to approach it differently. And first, we need to establish what a belief is. A belief is an understanding, or the way in which you understand mutually experienced phenomena. So whatever subject you're talking about, whether it's religion or science or politics or economics or culture or lifestyle, diet, psychology, it doesn't matter. It's all just what do you believe? And this information is largely redundant. When someone asks you, what is your belief in this, or what do you think about that, in whatever subject, what they're really asking are these two things. Why do you believe that, and how do you believe that? What you believe can change. You can have one belief in something, and then you switch to another belief. It doesn't really matter because, again, it's all just explaining or describing the way in which you understand mutually experienced phenomena, meaning life and existence, right? The how and why of belief is where all the debates and disagreements and opinions come from in the first place. And for this, we can make a simple coordinate plane to understand the model for how and why belief happens. So this is the graph. And on the x-axis here, we have internal to external. And this is your why. Why do you believe what you believe? The y-axis is the how. How do you believe? Do you believe abstractly or realistically? The combination of the x and y will give us 4 different quadrants. We have heuristic, fanatic, pragmatic, and skeptic. And this we can call the game of belief, right? It's all a game, and how and why you believe is the important information in any belief. The internal is a personal reason to believe it, whether through subjective experience, whether through research or erudition. You have a reason from internal factors or internal subjectivity for believing something. External is obviously the opposite. It's signs and data and research or experiences that are coming from another source outside of yourself. The y-axis, the how do you believe, the manner in which you believe, is it realistic? Is it more cause and effect, or is it kind of conceptually based, which is on the abstract line? So let's make up an example. Let's take like a scientist who is doing data analysis. He has internal research that he's conducted and that he's set out, maybe an experiment. And from this experiment, he has come to conceptual conclusions, meaning the data in his belief has certain conceptual or abstract implications. This would make his belief fanatic. Now, I could have used the word enthusiastic, but I thought fanatic fit better with the kind of language. But a fanatic is someone who has a personal reason to believe something that has abstract implications. Now, let's say this same data is seen over and over again by other researchers, and it indicates a certain trend. This would be pragmatic. Because there's not a direct observable cause and effect, it's still only indicating abstract concepts. It's abstract. That same collection of data taken and only the conclusion of what the data means without any abstract concepts would make you a skeptic. The heuristic data analyst takes that personal information, that internally why you believe something, and only applies it to how it realistically through the direct cause and effect. The information says one thing and nothing else. That would be realistic. You could have fanatic political ideologies. Through your belief, through your research and understanding, you believe in a certain political stance or political system, which is an abstract thing that makes you fanatic. Why you believe something, internal, external, and how you believe something, whether it's abstract or realistic. You can take an individual person and map out the why and how they believe what they believe. So they could have fanatic beliefs in some subjects and skeptic beliefs in others, and pragmatic in still others, and heuristic in others. Because this is just a basic model, you can graph out where kind of on the extremes of how internal, how abstract, how realistic, how external, and so on. So they could have dots way out there, or it could be more in the center, or along one axis more so than another. The reason this is more important than what someone believes is, again, because it's all explaining or trying to explain the same phenomena, what you personally believe of that. This is more of an indication of the kind of believer that they are. Let's take a stereotypical scientist raised in a religious setting. They grow up They don't like the religion anymore. They become a scientist. They become fanatic in that belief. Why? Because they've come to internal conclusions through research studies, anything like that, and came up with abstract conclusions or notions on their beliefs. Right, so any person that believes in anything can fall into these quadrants. You could have religious people that are skeptic and heuristic and pragmatic. You could have people who believe in certain lifestyles in various different ways. Right, your average vegan or carnivore diet type people are probably going to be in the fanatic quadrant. Someone with a pragmatic belief in a certain diet or lifestyle will say that this works for the most amount of people, and that would be an abstract concept. The skeptic would say this certain diet doesn't work for everyone, and so you could only judge based off of the realistic expectations or realistic effects of that belief. The heuristic dietitian will say that this works for me and what I've noticed and what I've been able to kind of experiment on. So the game is reality, it's life, it's existence. The way that you approach or the way that you play the game is your belief. So this is useful even in just day-to-day practice. Maybe people you know in real life, maybe for yourself, maybe watching people or listening to people in videos or podcasts or different fields and whatnot. Everyone has various subjects and different beliefs that will fall in different areas, and this lets you at least mentally come up with the whys and the hows, which are the most important questions. The what of belief is simply the brand that someone believes in something for these mutually shared phenomena. And the reason I focused kind of mainly on fanatic is because that's how and why most people believe in what they believe. They have personal reasons to believe that, and it has abstract implications for what they believe. Like I said, this could be useful in day-to-day. It's not necessarily meant to be a perfect model or anything like that, but I wanted to share an example of how you can approach what belief is, because this is about the how and the why, right? Rather than saying there's a religious belief versus a scientific belief versus a philosophical belief versus ideological or political and so on, you're asking how and why they believe and placing them in these various quadrants to get a working model on that sort of different approach to belief. Now, there's a specific reason why I'm explaining things like this, because we're going to approach in the next video or in a future video what the game is and the game masters, which are microorganisms, and how there are games within games. And the noticeable byproduct of these games are what we call symbols, and a collection of symbols forms an archetype. But that'll be explained later, so don't worry about that. This was just to establish a different model or different way of looking at beliefs.